Thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Sue. Yeah, it's really confusing now with Icon because we've got two Sues who go around in a little pack, haven't we, Sue? Um, so when you want attention from me, you have to call me Suzanne, and if you want attention from Sue, you call her Sue, and then we won't cross over. So I think we've got somebody who is potentially not muted then.
Yeah,
It's
I'll
gone.
just go. Yeah.
It sounds to have gone now, but brilliant to see so many of us are at this meeting already, and the number continues to clock up. It's fantastic that everybody's here on what is our third Icon week for 2020. Well, it's not the third one in 2023, but it's the 2023 Icon week. Um, and I'm Sue Smith, and I'm the founder of Icon and also the program advisor. And I'm going to be taking you through some of the things that go beyond just what Icon is about. I'm going to assume that, generally speaking, everybody who is on this call grasps something about Icon. But so if you could share my presentation for me, if that's all right, we will start working our way through that. Well, the first thing to say, obviously, is that Icon is an abusive head trauma prevention program, and it's an abusive head trauma prevention program because it helps parents cope with persistent crying of babies. Um, and just a couple of facts, obviously, we know that that's often a trigger for parents to shake the baby, and most babies who are shaken are usually shaken by men. But women can obviously shake babies as well. So this slide here is just one of the very first posters we produced, which describes what each of those letters in the Icon mnemonic stand for. And I'm not going to go through them in any detail, just really quickly. This gives quite a lot of detail, but infant crying is normal, it will stop. Comfort methods can sometimes soothe the baby and the crying will stop. It's okay to walk away if you've checked the baby is safe and the crying is getting to you. And after a few minutes, when you're feeling calm, go back and check on the baby, and never ever shake or hurt a baby. And that is what you will hear throughout the week at different points. You will hear how that really simple message is landing with parents and carers, and how we've tried to adapt Icon so that it is responsive to a variety of different audiences. So the next slide shows why we think Icon is different. Um, so I went to Canada, America, to do some research about abusive head trauma prevention programs, and helping parents cope with crime programs. And I was all for, just anglicizing, if you like, the period of purple crying program. But when I put that in front of our parents, that's our parents group, that isn't what they wanted. And I think it's really important to actually say that the start of Icon wasn't in 2018. That was the launch of it. It was in 2016 when I came back from, well, even before that, before I went to Canada and America, I watched a panorama program with a lady called Jo Senior, as she was called then, and she was talking about her son Charlie, and that he had been shaken by his biological father, and the impact that it had, and really was doing an amazing job about raising awareness about what shaken baby syndrome, which it was at the time. And I googled her and found out she lived a couple of miles from me. So this was before I went to Canada and America, and I met her in a local pub. Her and her husband, current husband, and my daughter, and we met in the local pub. And I said, "This is what I want to do when I come back. What do you think? Do you want to join?" And she, from day one, her and Alan, her husband, were very determined to make this happen and to make this work, and put me in touch with Jess Stevenson, who ran a group for people who were victims of abusive head trauma and families who were victims of abusive head trauma, called Charlie's Angels. And I met with Jess as well, and was beginning to get a bit of a head of steam, and decided that we would set up a group, invite parents from Charlie's Angels to come down to Birmingham. We'd fund them all to come down to Birmingham to talk about what they wanted to see in an abusive head trauma prevention campaign. And that's when I played them Purple, and they said, nah, we want something that speaks to, one of them said, you know, it needs to be able to, somebody living in a terraced house in Manchester needs to be able to engage with this, and they can't with these apparently fairly well-to-do people from America. So we just dreamed up the word icon then. It wasn't actually me, it was my colleague at the time who was working with me, and her and her husband dreamed this one up. And I said, what about this then? What do you think about this? And they said, absolutely, that's it. That's what we want. And I took them through what a prevention program might look like. And with their input, that's when we designed Icon. And it was in 2016, 2017. It was in 2018 when we launched it in Hampshire. So that's a bit of a timeline. So it's been going, the idea of it's been going for a long time. The first idea I had about it was in 1998 when I first saw a baby who was shaken on Leeds Teaching Hospitals, where I worked, their paediatric intensive care unit. So what's different about it then? Well, it makes a difference. We know that now because we have got some data. It's very fledgling, but we are getting some emerging data that's saying it is making a difference to parents. We know that it's cost effective and it's resilient in times of change, because since 2018, yeah, we've been through a heck of a lot of change, but we've managed to carry on driving Icon through. And also Icon never stops progressing and responding, which I'm going to just show you now as we go through this presentation. So this slide just tells you about the simple messages since 2018, that it's the simplicity of the message that really helps people cope with the crying. They remember it. And the survey that we've just done, and Sue's going to go through this in more detail later on in her presentation, people remember the whole of the message, but in particularly the O, it's okay to walk away, and the N, the never ever shake or hurt a baby, which is really good. We've found that 98% of parents who had a discussion about Icon went on to discuss it with their partner. So, you know, it kind of landed with them to the degree where they went and shared it with their partner, which is great because we don't always get men in the contacts that we have with the public, do we? So it's really important, if our contact is with the mum, that she is able to share that message with the male carer or the men in the household. Overwhelmingly, the results are positive, that Icon is embedded in practice. Professionals like it, and they find that it's easy to embed in the practice, and parents are aware of the messages. So the results show that, you know, it's being discussed by professionals and heard by parents, which is really positive. And this slide just takes you through a few responses from parents. Some of them you will have seen before. But then there's that one at the bottom, I worried that I couldn't do anything for my baby. Then I remembered that they go through this stage. Thank you. You know, that she remembered the fact that it's normal. Infant crying is normal. It starts to increase at 2 weeks. It reaches a peak about 6 to 8 weeks, and then it gradually starts to decrease. It doesn't go away completely in that first year, of course, but it can rise again. Babies can start to cry again more. But it's at that very crucial age, in those first 2, 3, 4 months, when the baby's head is heavy in proportion to the rest of its body, and the head lag is more significant, and the neck control is much weaker, that causes the damage when a baby is shaken at that age. That's important to really press on delivering this message at this age. So professionals like it as well. And this is an example of Bristol's poster about working well together and engaging a range of different professionals throughout the voluntary sector, as well as police, housing, health, social care, and other agencies, in working together to deliver ICON, which is really, really positive. And some of them have said, always generates a good conversation. Parents are actually surprised, especially at it's normal to cry at this age. And then there's that quote at the end there. I took one of my families to the GP and he had the leaflet on his desk. I asked him and he said he mentions it to all parents at the 6-week check, which is exactly what it is, because ICON is a program. And I just want to re-emphasize this. ICON is a program. So it's not that any of the 5 touch points you can take or leave. All of the 5 touch points, which is delivery of the message, immediately postnatally, discharge, when the baby's discharged from hospital, at home after delivery, or discharged from midwifery care if there's been a delivery at home. And then it's in the first 10 days by the community midwife, the first 14 days by the health visitor, and then a contact at 3 weeks, which is always difficult to do, but people are being really creative about how to do it. And text messaging seems to be popular. There's that one, and then there's the 6 to 8 week check by the GP. So those are the must-do kind of touch points. We're also doing antenatal, and people are also doing in schools as well, which I'll go on to talk about later. But those are the must-dos. It's cost effective and it's resilient. Well, it's kind of unique because it's been designed so that it's easily integrated into the health and social care delivery in this country. And in that sense, there's not a huge amount of money you're spending on sending people out to do extra stuff. They're already there. And it's only a very short, simple message. It's a little reminder. It's not just giving a leaflet, it's just that little reminder that people are asked to give. And it's driven by passion, and it's now reaching 70% of families with babies. And this is just a quote here from, it's a real mouthful, and I trip over it every time I say it, South Tyneside and Sunderland Foundation Trust and the Integrated Care Team. They are encouraged by the findings. They will continue to keep ICON message within professional practice at the forefront to ensure parents are aware of the key messages to assist in preventing abusive head trauma in the babies. So that's really, really positive. And that's from the local audit that they do, because we encourage all areas to do their own audit, and we provide an audit template which you can easily put into place to make sure that you can do that audit in your area. And that really helps us gather together that data to prove our point. Just want to talk a little bit about ICON in schools, because this has been a fantastic initiative. Sue has worked closely with Beth, a teacher in Fleetwood near Blackpool, and who has worked tremendously hard to develop a whole teaching pack. So it's teachers' notes, handbooks for students, and presentations in this pack to be able to deliver ICON in schools. And the next slide just shows what some of the students actually think about it. And one of them is saying really clearly, I actually didn't know this. I didn't know it, and now I know it. I will remember it, and it's really important we tell people about this because it is so easy to prevent. And these are high school students who are saying this. So having an impact at that age is really important, because some of them will be parents or will soon become parents. Some of them will have siblings who are babies, and some of them will be going into sort of babysitting responsibilities and that sort of thing. So it's really important to be able to get that message through early, and they remember it, which is amazing. It will be interesting to see it later on if we ever get to doing an audit when those people become parents, if they ever received it in school. We've also introduced coding. So one of our GP ambassadors has worked so hard over about 2+ years to get coding embedded into the SNOMED Ardens for use on eMission System 1. And that is making a difference about how the ICON touchpoint interventions are recorded. It helps in audit as well. And it's also included on the BadgerNet digital records. But not everybody's in the same place in their digital journey. So some professionals are still wanting stickers that they can put on notes, and that's absolutely fine. Those are provided, you can order those. And then there's the personal child health record inserts that we've had designed. They're designed by professionals who use them, and they're available to purchase and have printed or to include digitally in digital red books. Oh, good. So we never stop progressing and developing. We're always on the case, and that comes from the people who are delivering it, really. So every 3 months we have a meeting, a national steering strategic group, and anybody can join who has commissioned ICON, who delivers it, and that's where we get some fantastic ideas about what different people are doing in their local areas, and everybody shares that information. And Barnsley, Angela Fawcett from Barnsley has done a tremendous piece of work with Bauer Media. Now you're going to hear from James Footed from Bauer Media later on in the week. And they developed digital media products. And the one that we're about to play is one that we have bought. So ICON has purchased this. So we have the sort of right to this one that we're about to play. If you want, not yet, so hang on, love. If you want to use it in your area, you just have to ask the local radio stations for the slot, and obviously you'd have to purchase that slot yourself. But the actual purchase of the product that we're about to play is already bought, and it's powerful. And we piloted this with people, and it does make people sit up and listen. So hopefully this will play for us.
Can you hear it?
Hush, little baby, please don't cry. Daddy's gonna sing you a lullaby. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Daddy is coming, Daddy has heard. Even though I've had no sleep, you just won't stop, I can't get a peep. I'm finding it tough to cope with the stress. Feel like I'm failing, I'm such a mess.
Infant crying is normal, and comforting methods such as gently stroking, rocking, or singing can help. It's okay to walk away and take a few minutes as long as they're safe. But never, ever shake a baby. And don't be afraid to get medical attention if you think something's wrong. For guidance and support, visit iconcope.org.
So hush, little baby, don't you cry. Mommy loves you and so do I.
So we think that's a really, really good ad. And that's the male version. There's a female version as well. Thank you. Like I say, we have to. It always starts to play when we skip off it. Like I say, if you want to know more about running that in your local area, we're going to talk about that later on the week with James. But all credit to Angela Fawcett from Barnsley from bringing this one to our attention and driving this, because we think it will make a difference. It will reach people who have the radios playing in the background while they're at work, you know, in hairdressers, in garages or wherever, and they will hear it, and it'll be that subliminal kind of messaging. Other things that we've developed are the baby scan card. Now, our very own admin, Anne Barber, she's been fundamental in pulling this one together. And this is something that you can buy to put your baby scan pictures in. And a lot of male carers, dads, you know, expectant dads will go to a scan. And so it's another gentle way of getting the ICON message in front of people. By popular demand, we have developed our e-learning course, And that again is proving very popular. And is being used by lots of people. Nice, easy, interactive way to get the training. Like I've always said, it doesn't need a lot of training because it's so simple. But this is just it's a typical way that we use in health and social care and lots of other professions for updating our learning now. And so that is also available. We've worked really hard in trying to make our products as accessible as we possibly can. We try to make sure that our images are reflective of different backgrounds, cultures, population groups. And we also do our best to make sure that people can read what we've produced. So we've got some easy read versions of our standard leaflets, including the premature baby leaflet. We also have a facility called ReachDeck, and again, during the week, we're going to go through this in more detail with the person from ReachDeck who's going to show you what it can do. So I'm not going to spend ages on it, but it will translate anything that's on a screen. If you highlight the text, it will translate it into a variety of different languages. We still get millions of emails asking if the leaflets can be translated into different languages. Well, ICON isn't an organization. We're a group of like-minded people who have pulled all of this together and keep it running. So we don't have somewhere where we can have lots of leaflets, and we don't have enough money to do that. But if you want to, you can ask if you want them printed off in a different language, you can ask your own printers or our print partner, Harlow Printing, to do that. And you can ask them to produce it in different languages. But if you don't want to have something printed, then ReachDeck will provide that translation in lots of different languages. We've also commissioned, just recently, we commissioned a review of a website from a blind user's perspective, and she gave us a really thorough breakdown of how she found it, which we've shared with Mark, who does our website for us and does an amazing job. He's completely overhauled it and updated it for us recently. And she said, overall, it's highly accessible for individuals using screen readers on a computer. Its simplicity and reliance on text-based content make it a great platform for blind-friendly technology, which is fantastic. She's given us some tips to improve it even more, and so that's really positive. And so we're doing our best to do that, and we don't ever take our foot off the gas regarding that. So if there's anything that anybody sees, we think, if you just tweak this or do that, it'll make it more accessible. We have updated our ReachDeck license to include a readability function, so that when we're putting new stuff on the website, we'll run it through the readability tool and it'll tell us what average reading age we're hitting and which words that it thinks we should change to make it more understandable. So we're really committed to this. One of our big things that we've done the last year is roll ICON out into the military. These are a couple of posters that show how they're examples of the work that we've done, both with the Ministry of Defence and with SAFA. So the Ministry of Defence Global Safeguarding Lead agreed to make this a campaign initially for a year, but now it's completely embedded. So it's been done with military families and we've had to adapt it slightly. So this is an example again of how resilient ICON is, because in military families where they're posted overseas, mothers will give birth in a civilian hospital, not in a military hospital. So there's no opportunity for us to give that really crucial hospital-based intervention there if they're posted overseas. If they're in the UK, they do. They'll get it if that area is already delivering ICON. But overseas, they don't. So that was a bit of an issue, except that the SAFA health visitors have more contact with the men in the armed forces than they would do in the UK. So there's an opportunity there for them to have more access, and they've included the antenatal contact as the first key contact, which has become a must-do for the military rollout. And again, there's one parent specifically thanked the facilitators who were doing an Understanding Your Baby course, and it's integrated with that, and it's integrated with the ICON's integrated with the Red Book for military families. Thank the facilitators for helping her to understand crying and get her through that difficult time, which is exactly what we want. So this is a map of where we're up to at the moment. So the blue areas are all the areas where ICON is currently up and running, which when I first saw that, absolutely, it bowled me over. It just made me, oh my goodness, look at that. It's across so much of the country. The green areas are the areas that have not taken up ICON yet. And out of those, we have those on the left-hand side listed who we're talking to. So that's an impressive reach across England. We have a pilot running in Tayside in Scotland at the moment, and some ongoing conversations with the Scottish Government about making ICON national across Scotland. And we're also having conversations with colleagues in Wales. So if you thought that was impressive, how's about this one? This is because of the global reach of ICON through the military. This is all the areas across the world where ICON is now delivered, and that includes Germany, Cyprus, Gibraltar, Brunei, Alberta, Kenya, Naples, Brussels. So those are all the places where ICON is being delivered in the world. We never stop progressing and developing, which is really, really important. You've got to go with the flow, you've got to move, you've got to keep up to speed so that ICON is relevant to the population to whom it is delivered. Bristol University and Bristol Royal Hospital for Children are continuing with their National Institute of Health Research funded research. There was a few delays earlier on in terms of ethical approval, I think, but we're hoping to have something at the end of this year. It's completely independent of ICON, so we just get little updates every now and then about when it's likely to land. We have our online survey and we have our individual area audit, and I would really, really encourage those of you who are on this meeting, if you haven't already done so, get those area audits out, because the more data we can gather together, the more powerful our evaluation will be. We contributed to the National Child Safeguarding Practice Review panel on the Myth of Invisible Men report, and we contributed to the research and with the Fatherhood Institute research, and we are mentioned in that report. ICON is mentioned in that report, and we're constantly horizon scanning for new research to make sure that we are on point, on message and relevant. So our priorities for 23-24 will be acting on the recommendations from any research and from audits that come through local areas. We are developing at the request of our National Strategic Group. This came up through that group, was a while ago now, was over a year ago. We are looking at developing a relatives resource or a grandparents resource, because we hear from people saying, we want to help our kids or our relatives cope with the crying baby, and we want to give the same message that they're being given by you. So can you tell us what that is? And rather than them having to go and get the leaflet themselves, we can give them something that helps them have that conversation with their family members. We'll also continue to develop our resources, especially around our videos. So we've got a lovely selection of videos, a really wide range selection of videos, and we want to just update some of those and include some more people with some more materials in that, and we're looking at developing a new funding model. So why we're here at the end of the day, and on the last day of Icon Week, if you can join us for the parents session, I would really encourage you to do so, because it takes a lot of courage for them to stand up in front of people and share their stories, and they deserve to be heard. This is why we're here. The most important measure of success and cost effectiveness is in the prevention of babies being killed or severely injured, with the huge cost that that entails to everybody, and to the societal productivity that's been denied through the preventable tragedy that is abusive head trauma. So I've gone way over time, and many apologies, Sue, but thank you very much for listening. We just got so much to update people on, haven't we?
I know, that was great. Thanks, Sue, for that.